Hello again, learners. Is a young student in your class struggling with handwriting? The cause may be more than just laziness or lack of motivation. It could be a neurological condition called dysgraphia. Now, what is dysgraphia? A child with dysgraphia has handwriting that is typically worse than that of most children of that age and IQ. But dysgraphia isn't only about a sloppy handwriting. Dysgraphia can make a youngster appear uninterested, lethargic, or a reluctant writer. The youngster may avoid writing altogether because she has difficulty expressing her thoughts and ideas in writing. Dysgraphia might also cause the child to avoid seemingly normal situations. For example, they can be reluctant to participate in any activity that requires writing, even if it's as basic as signing one's name or creating a family tree project. If you have a student in your class who does so, you have probably experienced frustration and anxiety related to dysgraphia firsthand. As with most learning challenges, the symptoms of dysgraphia can range from mild to severe, and the symptoms may vary in the way they show up in children of different ages. In general, a child with dysgraphia may have trouble with forming letters, numbers, and words, spelling words correctly, organizing thoughts and ideas into written expression. Simply put, dysgraphia makes the process of writing quite difficult. So a child with dysgraphia often has a much easier time expressing ideas verbally than in writing. Some additional signs of dysgraphia may include a clumsy or tight pencil grip, gets tired quickly when writing, the writing is illegible, inconsistent, and contains letters and digits that are badly formed, incorrect letter, word, and line spacing and alignment in written text. Writing is laborious and slow for them. Complete reluctance to writing, difficulty adhering to grammar and spelling rules, having trouble aligning numbers in math, having trouble putting thoughts on paper, difficulty with jobs that demand both thinking and writing at the same time. I have with me dysgraphia expert Shripriya Bhomik. Now, Shripriya, could you please share your experience with dysgraphic students and your suggestions for teachers for helping them in classrooms?
A huge amount of students using pencils like this or this in various ways, and that is kind of puts pressure on this part of their hand, and over the years it becomes quite difficult for them. Also, it's very important for you to look into the positioning of the hand of the arm actually while writing. So look into that. Make sure that they do not develop wrong grip. Help them choose the right type of writing tool. Often, the size of their palm and the fingers and the pencil or the pen they're using, especially the biros, they don't really match, and that causes lots of problem. Encourage them to use the right type of pencil. At a younger age, allow them to use the grip. You get this plastic, there are those rubber grips, soft grips, which go around the pencils of the pen, or a triangle pencils, which to help them improve their grip. If you haven't got a grip, you have got a rubber band, wrap it around in layers, and you can make a grip. So, and that really helps. So, lots of things. The writing slope. Is the paper in the right angle? Make sure that it's on the right angle. If you see the child, you remember in old school days, we used to have the writing desk was a bit slanting. Often the writing slant or the slope helps them with the positioning of their hand if they've got issues with writing. If you haven't got a slanting table, nowadays it's difficult to find one, and if you want to get the artificial slopes, that can be quite expensive as well. What my go-to resource is table file arch, like this one. Keep it gives the slant, and that works. So I often use a glue tack to tape it and make the slant with that, and that works. A temporary solution, but nevertheless it works. And correct posture. Make sure that they're not slouching or like this, hands hanging from the table. Just encourage them to have the correct posture. Once all those things are sorted and you still see that it's not really going anywhere further, I would then recommend that introduce typing. Why unnecessary make it a bit of a challenge? If they can type, let them type. We all are using it nowadays. And also, if you think that the typing speed is really slow, they can't really type faster because of whatever, there might have been some fine motor deficit which the occupational therapist has identified, then encourage them to use speech to text. Now, I think Microsoft Word comes with speech to text software enabled. So Google Doc, you can just use voice typing. Remember, whatever we are teaching them today is to enable them for the future. So why unnecessarily create frustration at this point of time when you can encourage them to develop a skill set where they can actually show what they're capable of, rather than struggling being somebody who's refusing to write, getting into frustration. I'm seeing so many students who had writing difficulties. They are reluctant writers now. They don't want to write. They don't want to type because in early age, people were so focused on that I can't read your writing, and they practiced their writing. They were never able to showcase their idea. So that frustration, like I know it, but I can't write, has stopped them from trying. So once they're in secondary age, they kind of carries on that feeling of frustration with them and becomes reluctant writers. And that finally affects their entire academic performance. So try to encourage their strength rather than focusing on their weakness. So talking to an occupational therapist, working on the recommendations, if they need any correct tools or anything, use them and encourage futuristic approach rather than focusing on what they're struggling now.
Thanks very much for your inputs, Shripriya.